What's going on, guys? It's Horse Beef here again, bringing you another tier list video. Ooh, let's get into it. Today we're doing future champs or prospect tier list. So I'm pretty much taking all the media hype jobs, the UFC hype jobs, and then a few hype jobs of my own that I've built up in my own head that maybe aren't as widely known to the general fan base. So let's get into it. First of all, Petr Yan. I assume he'll be champion again, probably break the title defense record. Retire as the GOAT. I don't know. I feel like that's the correct prediction. Benoit Saint-Denis. It's very easy to put him all the way down here somewhere because of the Dustin Poirier performance, but I do think that he was just pushed too fast. He has the well-rounded skill set. If he improves the striking and especially the striking defense, keeps that head off the center line, maybe I can see him being champ, but I'm going to keep him in B tier. I think if he fought Islam right now, he would give him a tough fight, but I think Islam would probably finish him on the feet. Khalil Roundtree, I think I'm going to put him in the same spot. His striking, he probably has the second best striking at light heavyweight behind Alex Pereira. Maybe Yuri Prochazka's up there too. I guess there are good strikers at light heavy, but Khalil is such a ferocious striker. I just don't know if he has the chin. I can see him getting chinned by a lot of these guys at the top of the division. So for that reason alone, I think Khalil, maybe he's not well-rounded enough either. Maybe the heavy Muay Thai approach isn't enough to get him to become champ, in my opinion. But I can see him being champ. I'm a huge fan of Khalil Roundtree, so that's how you know I'm so unbiased. Like, how can someone be this unbiased? Ludovic Klein, I would put him higher if he was in a division rampant with strikers, because he is one of the better strikers, at least one of the best striking prospects in the UFC right now, in my opinion. And at lightweight, he is one of the best strikers already, I would say. But he hasn't fought enough high-level competition for me to put him high up. I'm going to put him at C just because I'm not too sure what he would do against a grappler. And at lightweight, 155, where he does fight, there are elite grapplers. So I'm just not too sure how he would fare against those individuals. But I'm a big fan of Ludovic Klein. Roman Kopylov, tough one, excellent striker. Did get finished by Anthony Hernandez, which I did not expect. Maybe that's a learning experience for him, but if it's anything to go off of, maybe he's not the best to match up with grapplers, and he is at middleweight. I suppose, Dricus, Sean Strickland, he would match up well stylistically against a lot of those guys. You know what? I think Kopylov is excellent. Yes, he did run into Anthony Hernandez. It was a great performance from him, right? He fought a very safe fight and catered to his own skill set and took away Kopylov's strengths. Beautiful performance, and I'm thinking Kopylov can recover from that and become a champ someday. I'm going to put him at B tier as well. Diego Lopez, I'm putting him at an A tier. I think there's a good chance he becomes a champ at some point. He's shown to have dynamite in his hands and an elite jiu-jitsu game, on top of the fact that he is massive for the weight class. He is a tough matchup for pretty much anybody at 145. So I'm putting him in A tier. Peyton Talbot, I might put him up here somewhere, man. He looks so good. In the short time that I've seen him in the octagon, he has looked so good. Is it fair to say that he'll surely become champ in the future? He's such a good striker. And if O'Malley can become champ, I feel like Peyton Talbot can become champ in that division. But then I think about him against someone like Petr Yan, and Petr Yan would do disgusting things to him. I'm going to put Peyton Talbot in A tier. MVP. See, I'm not too sure about this, because I can see a lot of guys at 170 beating MVP in the UFC. I don't think MVP is the elite of the elite at 170. I think JDM would beat him. I do think Leon Edwards would probably beat him. I think Stephen Thompson could probably beat him too. I don't know. I just don't see him as champ material. I'm going to put him at C tier. I don't think MVP will become champion, but he could prove me wrong for sure. Brendan Allen, good, well-rounded, technically proficient. I just don't think that he does anything spectacular, which is why I can't put him very high. I think C tier is good enough for him. I can't see him beating Dricus. I really can't. I can't see him beating Dricus. I can't see him beating Adesanya if it was to come to that. Sean Strickland, even, I'm pretty sure Sean Strickland has a knockout win over Brendan Allen, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But Brendan Allen, C tier. I think that's where he belongs. Anthony Hernandez, I'm putting him D tier. I know he beat Kopylov, who I put up here. I just don't think that his skill set is indicative of a future champ. But very good on the ground. Seriously, his grappling is elite. I just don't think it's enough. I really don't. Arman Tsarukyan, I'm going to put him up here. I think Arman has the skill set as it stands, and he's young enough to develop. And imagine him once he hits his prime. Once he gets to the age of 30, 31, 32, and he really hits that physical prime of his, it'll be tough for guys to stop him. I think he'll become champ someday. I'm putting him at A, and his striking is only getting better as well. Very well rounded. Yeah, I can see him being champ. Guskov or Bogdan Guskov, I think is how you pronounce this guy's name. One of the scariest looking dudes in the UFC, just coming off a pretty brutal knockout last weekend. I can definitely see this guy becoming champ. I'm just not too sure where to rank him. He kind of looks like Kopylov without hair, maybe a little bit. I don't know, but he's like a mixture of Kopylov and Anthony Smith. What a scary looking dude. That is terrifying. That's a terrifying face. But I'm gonna put him at B tier, man. I don't know. He's a scary dude. Just because he scares the shit out of me, and I don't want to be on his bad side, I will be nice to him. Put him in B tier. Mateusz Gamrot, for me, he has to be D tier because you have to consider. Like, yes, he's great, but could you see him beating Islam? I couldn't. Yeah, they can grapple, but Islam way outmatches them everywhere else. And Arman, I know Gamrot has a win over Arman. That's a little bit suspect. I thought Arman won that fight. I just do not see any reality where Gamrot becomes champ. Could be wrong. He's also kind of pushing it a little bit with his age. I think he's getting into his mid-30s now, so the clock is ticking. I don't think he'll be champ personally. Next up, we have Rafael Fiziev. Some of the best striking at 155. Is coming off a pretty nasty knee injury. Very, very good takedown defense. His defensive grappling is excellent, but maybe coming off that knee injury and the fact that he tends to gas out, I don't know. I think Arman would beat him. I think surely Islam would beat him. Gaethje beat him up rounds 2 and 3. Even though that fight was closer than people give credit to Fiziev for. I'm going to put Fiziev in, I don't know, it's because he's in lightweight, and lightweight is such an elite weight class. And keep in mind, I'm a huge fan of Fiziev. I just don't see him becoming champ. So I'm going to put him at C tier because I can definitely see him surprising me. I know I keep saying that this is a tough tier list to make. Joaquin Buckley, I just don't think he has enough. That's all. You know, there are certain fighters you watch, you see why the UFC promotes them, right? It makes sense why Joaquin Buckley's promoted. He got that insane knockout, one of the greatest knockouts of all time, all that, and just knocked out Vicente Luque. But it's a very convenient win because Luque has shown signs of decline for a while now. So I would say Joaquin Buckley was fed pretty much the easiest ranked opponent within the top 10. I believe Vicente Luque was still ranked inside the top 10, but he was fed maybe the easiest matchup within the top 10, so it's hard to really put a lot of stock in that. Also at welterweight, there are some serious killers. Could you see Joaquin Buckley getting through Shavkat Rakhmonov or JDM? Absolutely not. So I'm putting him at D tier, mostly by virtue of the fact that he is in such a talent rich division. Cannot see him being champion. Corey Sandhagen, I might actually put him up here. I might put him at the very top. He might deserve to be at the tippy top because I think as a stylistic matchup, he presents one of the biggest threats to Sean O'Malley and a good part of the division. He's now a grappler. He's implemented grappling into his game. He can shoot for takedowns. He doesn't only have to strike. And it helps that his striking is elite. He has extremely good hands. There's no fat in any technique that he throws. He is technically pretty much perfect in everything that he throws on the feet. And now that he's grappling too, he's mixing it up. He's really turned into a full-fledged MMA fighter. Oh, I see him giving problems to a lot of guys at 135, and I do think that if Corey Sandhagen is given the opportunity, he will become champ someday. Khamzat Chimaev. See, I'm not too sure about this one, especially if he continues at middleweight. I thought Usman beat him. I think Whitaker, I believe he's fighting Whitaker, isn't he? Surely Whitaker beats Chimaev. If he's able to get through Whitaker, then obviously retroactively I could come back and say I was wrong here. But I think as things stand, based on my prediction for his next fight, I don't think that Khamzat can become champ. I think it'll be hard. Can you see him beating Dricus? I can't see him beating Dricus. And he's shown every time he's put on the big stage, he always gasses. He always fades. If you can get out of the first round with him, he always fades. Honestly, this might be controversial. No, I think to be fair, I have to put him in B at the very least. The gas tank is very suspect though, and honestly, if he never becomes champ, I would not be surprised. JDM, I put him at A tier. He's getting more well-rounded every single time we watch him fight. Those scrambles against Gilbert Burns were very impressive. Some of the best boxing in the UFC. Tough as nails. Yeah, I think he has the size. I think if he fought Leon Edwards right now, he would beat Leon Edwards. I think so, at least. I personally think JDM would mollywop the shit out of Leon Edwards. Ian Machado Gary, and this doesn't come from any sort of hatred towards the guy. I understand he is widely disliked by most of the community, but I'm going to put him in B tier. I see potential there. He is a clean striker. I just don't think that what he has on the feet is enough to make him champ, right? Is he a better striker than Leon Edwards? Maybe, right? Begs to be seen. I think JDM would beat him up. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov would do dirty things to him. So yeah, I don't see Ian Gary becoming a champion personally, unless the UFC gives him the easiest possible road to the title. If the fight between Colby Covington and Ian Gary is booked and he gets through Colby Covington, then maybe we can have a conversation about moving him up. But I'm going to say B tier is where Ian Gary belongs. Manel Cap, dude, I'm such a fan of his. On the mic, he's hilarious. Skill set wise, he's elite, right? His striking is so good, but it's all contingent on him actually getting in the octagon and fighting. But I think he's that good. I do think he's that elite if given the opportunity. And flyweight is the kind of division where if you have one good performance, then you have a title shot, right? Like look at Steve Erceg. And I was going to put Erceg on this list, but I figured he's already fighting for the title, so it would be cheap to put him on this list, I thought. But Manel Cap, I think, could be the next one up at flyweight to fight for the title. As long as he gets in the fucking octagon. Like, Manel Cap, stop fucking around. Come fight. I want to watch you fight, man. He's so entertaining. What's going on? And we get into Ankalaev. I think there's a very good chance that he could become champ. I don't want to put him all the way up here, but I am going to put him at A tier. Skill set wise, if he was to fight Pereira, he is the nightmare matchup for him. Yeah, Ankalaev, very good chance of becoming champ. Mohamed Mokaev. The issue with this man is I know his grappling is great, but we saw against Alex Perez, this guy cannot strike for shit. And the way I see it, if you're at flyweight and you're not elite at everything, I don't think that you could become champion unless you're someone like Pantoja, who may not be a fantastic striker, right? But he has power and he has grit and he has that marauding style and just walks through damage. Mokaev is not like that. So if you're only leaning on your grappling at flyweight, I can see this guy getting pieced up by a majority of the top 10, top 15 even. Yeah, Mokaev, I'm not impressed. I was not impressed against Perez. I thought Perez probably beat him, and this shouldn't even be a conversation of whether or not he'll be a champion in the future. Yeah, I'm not a fan personally. I think Mokaev will stay far away from that title unless, of course, the UFC pushes him in a very specific way and gives him a very specific road to the title that suits his skill set to a T. Otherwise, I do not see him coming close to that title. Movsar Evloev, his grappling pedigree is enough. If he was to fight Volk, do I think he'd beat Volk? No. Do I think he'd beat Max? No. Do I think he'd beat Topuria? No. But is it possible? Yes. Is he an elite grappler? Yes. Striking, he's half decent. He's okay. but I think he'll improve. I think he'll improve. And I feel like just because he beat Lopez, it's unfair to put him below Lopez. Well, here, we'll put him there together, nice and cute like that. Nasruddin Imavov, he's just a little too basic for me. And he doesn't possess that one punch knockout power. Like, he doesn't have a lot of venom in his shots. He's clean on the feet. He's crisp. He's technical. But I just don't think that what he has is enough to become champ. He is good though. He is good. But I might put him. I don't know. I kind of want to put him in C tier. I think C tier is fair. Shavkat Rakhmonov, I'm sticking him top tier. I think he will become champ. If he fought Leon Edwards today, he would beat Leon Edwards. In my opinion, I think he beats everyone in the division. The only one I see giving him a really tough fight is JDM. I see JDM giving him a really hard fight, and I heard a rumor that fight is actually confirmed for UFC 305. If that's true, bravo, UFC. Bravo, whoever put that fight together. Excellent fight. Shavkat surely will become champion, I think. Umar Nurmagomedov, maybe exposed a little bit on the feet last time out. Obviously, he's a very dominant grappler. But at 135, you really have to compete with some serious guys. I don't know if he'd beat Sean O'Malley. He might be able to mix it up and take Sean O'Malley down, control him, and beat him that way. But on the feet, he would get pieced up. A guy like Petr Yan who can defend takedowns and has a much higher level striking skill set than Umar, I think would beat him up. Chito Vera would give him a hard fight, I think, if he would actually be active. Song Yadong would give him a hard fight. I think majority of the division actually gives Umar Nurmagomedov a hard fight. So same argument with Mokaev. I don't know if Umar becomes champ unless the UFC gives him a very favorable road. First, I want to see him against Corey Sandhagen. I can't quite put him up here. Honestly, I can't even put him here. Bantamweight is that talent rich that I can't put Umar. I don't buy into the hype as much as other people do with Umar. I could be wrong, and honestly, I'm fully ready to eat my words on this one, but I'm going to put him in B tier, middle of the pack. Not to say that he won't become champ or he has no chance of becoming champ in my eyes, but I think he belongs middle of the pack. Robelis Despain, I'm putting him right here. Actually, dude, he might even be up here. Because heavyweight is just such a shit division. But would he beat Aspinall? I'm not sure he would. I'm going to put him in A tier because I think he's like 1 or 2 knockout wins away from getting a title shot because heavyweight is so stale. I think based off the fact that he will get the opportunity to win the title and all it takes is 1 shot from this guy, I'm going to put him in A tier. Bo Nickel, I'm sticking him in C tier, man. I don't care what anyone says. This isn't based off any sort of hatred I have for him because he was on the main card of UFC 300. I really don't care. It wasn't his decision. I don't hate the guy. He just isn't good enough on the feet, and he could improve in that regard. But I just don't see his grappling taking him far as he thinks or the UFC thinks the grappling pedigree could take him, because there are other guys who can grapple with him, mitigate that, and piece him up on the feet. Paulo Costa, Nasruddin Imavov, I think is a tough fight for Bo Nickel as well. Brendan Allen is a tough fight for Bo Nickel. There are a lot of very tough matchups for Bo Nickel that do not bode well for his skill set. But I just can't put him all the way at the bottom. But I'm going to put him in C tier. I don't think Bo Nickel is as much of a future champ as the UFC wants us to believe. I personally don't think so. Getting to Tatsuro Taira, flyweight, very high level jiu-jitsu. I actually think he's better than Mokaev. I like him more than Mokaev. I'm going to put him in C tier as well. I'm ready to be impressed by him, though. I'm perfectly prepared to move him all the way up to top tier at some point, right? Retroactively, because God knows that Tatsuro Taira has a lot of potential. But C tier for now. C tier as things stand. Ikram Aliskerov, I don't know. We haven't really seen a whole lot of him. I think his claim to fame is getting knocked out cold by Chimaev on some regional scene. But he is good. He isn't like Abu. He's actually, went out there and performed. but we haven't seen him against high-level competition. Do I think he can become champ? Yes. Do I think he will become champ? I don't know, man. Like these Dagestanis, they're so hard to call because they can either become the best fighters in the world or they can just be overhyped Daggies. I'm gonna put him in B tier. B tier for now. Vitor Petrino. If this was a handsome tier list, this guy would be all the way at the very top. If this was like physique tier list, all the way at the top, you know. But I guess we'll have to see how he does tonight against Anthony Smith. He is good, but when I watch him fight, I see a physical specimen, but I don't see an elite fighter. I'm gonna put him at C tier, but I could be wrong, as I keep saying. I could be wrong. Joe Pyfer, I'm putting him at D tier. This dude has a chip on his shoulder, so if he sees this video, he's probably going to go out of his way to try and find where I live and potentially murder me. I'm ready for that reality. That's fine, but I'm going to bite the bullet and put Joe Pyfer in D tier. I don't see him being champ. After his performance against Hermanson, I don't see it. The guy just, he throws big shots. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Joe Pyfer, not champ material, in my opinion. Don't come after me, Joe Pyfer, unless you want to. I'll put hands on you, no problem. Michael Morales, I feel like he deserves to be in a similar position. Maybe put him here because he is good. He is good. He is young. He's a big guy for that for his respective division too. I'm gonna put him at C tier. I can see him becoming champ, but I do need to see more out of him first. Undefeated, I believe. Same with Petrino. Shara Bullet. This guy's an animal, but he's like one of the only Dagestanis that cannot stuff takedowns. If he develops that part of his game, I think he can become champion because as far as his kicking game goes, he's one of the fastest kickers in the UFC. I think regardless of division. The way he gets his kicks up, crazy, doubles up on kicks, triples up on kicks, throws cartwheel kicks off his back. His arsenal of kicks is insane. I think as far as his striking goes, there aren't a lot of guys in his division that can mess with him at all. So I'm very tempted to put him up in A tier. I do like him as a prospect more than Aliskerov. Yeah, I'm going to put him here because I think the UFC will push him fast. The UFC will push him real fast. Just looks really messed. Looks like an inbred, mountain-dwelling individual. And he is an asshole. So my bias against him, punching people in malls because of public displays of affection, makes me want to move him down. But I have to be fair, even though I don't like the guy personally. As a fighter goes, man, it's hard to deny his level of skill. He is talented. Yeah, I think A is where he belongs. Song Yadong. I do think it's fair to put him in A tier, but I'm not gonna put him there personally, just because whenever he gets to that position where he is one fight away from a title shot, like if he was to beat Petr Yan, I think that would set him up as a title contender. If he was to beat Corey Sandhagen, I think that would have set him up to be a title contender. But whenever he reaches that position, he seems to fumble it a bit. So I'm going to put him at B tier because I do think that because of how young he is, he can continue to improve, but he hasn't shown that he is exactly champ material yet. But I'm ready to be proven wrong with Song Yadong. Raul Rosas Jr., I don't see him ever developing a championship skill set. I really don't. I'm not going to make fun of his face or his voice or anything. I'm not like that, guys. I'm just not the type to do that. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to focus on this on the fighting skills alone. I don't think he'll ever be champion. Could be wrong. He is very young. He doesn't even feel like a real person at this point. He also pulled out of a fight in Mexico at the last second. So that shows mentally, I don't know if mentally he has the legs to become champ, right? Just based off that, how are you pulling out of a fight in your hometown or your home country like that, right? Crazy stuff. So for that alone, and also his skill set, really, I get he's so young, right? He has so much room to improve. It would not surprise me. Say he takes 5 years off the sport, comes back, a completely different fighter, and elite, taking dudes out, an absolute assassin. Wouldn't surprise me. But as things stand, I don't personally see him as a future champ. So D tier is where he belongs, in my opinion. If you disagree, I don't give a shit. I am the all-knowing of MMA. So if you disagree, then you're simply wrong, and everyone knows that. So that is the tier list. That's everyone. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of where I placed each respective fighter, where you would place them. If you disagree with me and you think I am an idiot, piece of shit, any sort of expletive that you can hurl at me, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, because I know you MMA fans love to do that shit. So do not hold back. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.